All right, what do you do? Let's jump on into this. Thanks for clicking on the video. Today we're talking about the San Antonio Spurs and doing a team preview of them. If you don't know by now, or if you haven't watched any of the other videos for the season previews that we're doing season preview videos for all 30 teams in the NBA. We're going in reverse order of standings by each conference. So this is the third video for the West, which means San Antonio is a team that I project to be third to last in the West. So the 13th seed in the Western Conference. We'll kind of break that down and talk a little bit about these four things right here: off-season moves, their salary cap situation going into the season, their rotations, and then what Vegas has for their win total. Before we get started with the Spurs, let me just remind you to subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment, and we're going to put out a lot more NBA content here soon. And NBA Media Day was today, so we got some good quotes. There's the whole Ben Simmons drama still going on, so if something happens there, we'll probably do a live stream of it. But let's just get into the Spurs here. All right. Here we go. So let's start off by talking about what they did in the offseason. So interesting moves were made by the Spurs during the offseason. I thought it was there were some questionable calls by the front office. But let's talk about them. So let's start with the draft. So they selected Joshua Primo and Joe Wieskamp. And these were two selections that, Wieskamp I'm not like crazy about. It's a second rounder. Who knows? He may hit, he might not, be anything in the league. But at the same time, it's also like, you just never know. So I wanted to talk about Primo because, again, a lot of the NBA media, a lot of people who do draft coverage, not everyone was really on board with this Primo pick. I kind of look at it in the sense of like, okay, we have DeJounte Murray, we have Derek White, we just signed Bryn Forbes, we just brought in, or we still have Lonnie Walker. And I'm kind of just wondering exactly what the fit is for Primo in the future. I mean, are the Spurs like not crazy about Murray or Derek White, and they kind of want to get another point guard in there or another, I guess, combo guard in there? But again, they also have Lonnie Walker. So it's just a little weird of a selection. There were, I think, better players on the board at the time. Jalen Johnson was a guy I liked. But it was just interesting. An interesting pick for the Spurs, and nothing that I was really crazy about when they picked at number 12. Let's talk about that DeMar DeRozan trade. So DeMar DeRozan was moved from San Antonio to Chicago in a sign and trade. San Antonio was able to get back Al-Farouq Aminu and Thaddeus Young from the Bulls. So they add a little bit more versatility in the front court. You look at a lot of the roster from last season. Again, it's mostly Derek White and DeJounte Murray and Vassell and Keldon Johnson. These guys aren't tall, right? Like, Murray's long and Derek White has a long wingspan. And Keldon Johnson's also pretty long, but they're not really tall as far as like what you would want a forward to be. So with Aminu and Thaddeus Young, they get a little bit bigger, which is, I think, something they needed. They also do get a little bit of three-point shooting with each of them. Nothing like crazy efficient, but something that is worth getting excited about. Let's talk about... so I believe, just kind of quick opinion on that DeRozan trade. They make out of it what they could. It wasn't really something that... I thought they should have traded DeRozan during the season to be able to maybe get something better back, but they do get solid rotational players here, some vets, and I don't think it's horrible, but at the same time, it's nothing to go crazy over. Maybe Thaddeus Young has a relatively good season for the Spurs because they're not going to be great, and usage isn't going to be too crazy just for DeJounte and Derek White. Like, Thaddeus Young will have some nights where he has some good stats. But I don't see this team winning a whole lot. Doug McDermott, sign and trade from Indiana. So Dougie McBuckets goes to San Antonio, adds three-point shooting, which is, again, something that this team really, really needed. The two main shot takers on the team last year were DeJounte Murray and DeMar DeRozan, and they were just taking twos. They were never taking their shots outside of the three-point or outside of the three-point arc. So they're always playing in the paint. They're playing at the foul line extended. it was not an efficient way to play basketball. Look, I mean, you can play the 2-point game all you want, but we did see in the Suns series against the Bucks that when you're settling for mid-range jumpers consistently, you can be hitting them at a high rate, but at the end of the day, it may not help you win like an actual series or a series of games. So yeah, I wasn't. I'm glad that DeRozan's gone, and I do feel like there is some ability that the Spurs may have. We had heard rumors about not Derek White, but DeJounte Murray potentially being a trade piece that they can move off of. I think that's smart, but that doesn't mean I hate DeJounte Murray. I just think as a team, like where this team's not going to be good for a minute. So if they can maybe capitalize on a good year from DeJounte Murray to bring in some maybe draft compensation, maybe another young player, something interesting to build off of. And I think they could, sell high, because I don't know how well, if he's going to be able to kind of duplicate the same season this upcoming season. Yeah, he'll have more opportunities, but I don't think he'll be something where he's as good as he was last year. Maybe I'm wrong. Really quickly, we'll touch on Zach Collins and Bryn Forbes. So both of them were free agency signings. The Zach Collins one is a little weird because he has been just completely hurt for a majority of his career. So I don't really get that one. I do understand that like when he does play, he's like a light version of Lauri Markkanen. He does have some athleticism to him, can shoot the three a little bit. But the issue here is just if he's not healthy, then you invested however much, and we'll look at the salary cap sheet here in a moment. But you invested into Zach Collins, and he may not give you a whole lot of return for the contract that you gave him. Bryn Forbes, I thought, was a solid pickup. I thought Forbes is just a three-point shooter, not a great defender, but he knows the San Antonio Spurs. He was there before. He went to Milwaukee and won a championship with the Bucks this last season. So good to bring guys back that exist. Oh no, I didn't do this right. There we go. Okay. Let's talk about the salary cap situation. I got to get moving here. As you can see on screen if you're watching, DeJounte Murray making the most dollars here for the team. Look, I'll tell you what. His contract's not bad. And again, this kind of comes to my personal mindset of like, you could move him. The Spurs could basically move him, try to bring something back. I don't think. Look, I'm fine with them holding on to him. I'm fine with them trading. I think that's just my personal opinion. With the team not going anywhere anytime soon, it might be best to sell high on those the young players, Derek White included. Although Derek White has also had a lot of injuries during his career in San Antonio, and he's also making about the same money as DeJounte. And I think we can all say that we'd probably want more DeJounte Murray than we would want Derek White, just given what they've done in the game sample that they've shown. So I don't. Derek White you might see him be a little showcase this year, and then maybe they deal him. Maybe. I'm just kind of thinking of it as like a tradable contract. I don't think this dude is an all-star. Again, like people talk about DeJounte Murray and say, oh, he's an all-star. Well, is he an all-star? Again, we just got off an NBA season where Trae Young wasn't even an all-star last year. So there's so much talent. I don't think he's all-star ability. I think he's great defensively. I think offensively he needs to kind of learn to maybe go back to shooting a little bit better from the field. Being a little bit more of a guy who can get his own shot off. But yeah, enough about DeJounte Murray. I've talked a lot about him. You also see Thaddeus Young as a contract that could be moved along with Al-Farouq Aminu. So when you get those players from Chicago, you also have expiring contracts that could be moved to a contender. So is there a Brooklyn or is there a Boston, an LA that wants, or a Denver, a Golden State? Is there a team out there that says, yeah, we'll take these we'll take expiring contracts to get off maybe a bad contract or whatever it may be. Who knows? So those are good pieces and good players to have. If you keep them, awesome. If you trade them away, I think it's benefit. You can benefit the team as well. Again, the 39 to 40 million that Doug McDermott got is a little interesting, but again, shooting is at a premium in the NBA, so it kind of makes sense. Jakob Poeltl, who we'll talk about a little bit more in a minute, really good, solid center. He was good defensively for the Spurs last year, and I wouldn't be surprised if they just want to try to keep him and kind of go from there. Zach Collins, we mentioned. Forbes. Lonnie Walker did absolutely nothing in more time last season. Not sure why everybody's still so high on him. He's been in the league for 3 years now, and I feel like he should probably be doing something in the league. Like, he's not even close to DeJounte, and he's not that close to what Derek White provides. Joshua Primo, we mentioned. Keldon Johnson played with Team USA for the Olympics, and was just like the last dude on the bench, and showed some promise last year. Can get some rebounds. He's an athlete. Maybe he gets molded into something pretty good in San Antonio. And then that's pretty much all I want to talk about there. But this is their cap situation. So is there a trade where they move DeJounte or Derek White? Is there maybe a move where they say, okay, here, contender, we don't need Aminu or Thaddeus Young. We're not going to re-sign them. So here you guys go. Could we sell them off to you guys and maybe get a future first-round pick from it? So again, Denver, Utah. Is there, I'm just kind of throwing out teams here, but is there a team that says maybe we're going to trade something and then be able to bring out Farouk Aminu because we need wing depth, and maybe there's an injury that happens early in the year. So that can be impacted by that as well. Let's quickly jump over to the rotations here for the Spurs. DeJounte Murray, this is their projected starting five from Hoops Hype. DeJounte Murray, Derek White, Lonnie Walker, are you kidding me? Keldon Johnson, and Jakob Poeltl. And the reserves here are Trey Jones, Bryn Forbes, Doug McBuckets, Thaddeus Young, and then Jack Londale, who I believe they just signed or drafted from Australia. And then Devin Vassell is actually a name that I wanted to talk about really quickly. I was super high on him in last year's draft. Long defender. He can shoot the three. Probably just needs to learn the speed of the game a little bit more. Didn't play a whole lot last year. But maybe he's a guy who gets some run. And maybe they move off of Walker. Because, again, I'm not crazy about Lonnie Walker at all. He had opportunity last season to play more minutes. And his efficiency just didn't even move at all. It wasn't even good. So if a team says, hey, we'll give you like a future first for Lonnie Walker, I would just dance in the streets if that was offered to me, because I don't think Walker's that good. Yeah, so as you can see, this team isn't that deep. They do have some vets here, guys who have been in the finals, like Bryn Forbes, and they do have Thaddeus Young, who's been in the league for a while, and McBuckets is a great shooter. But other than that, I just wonder where the offense is going to come from. Again, I already mentioned, like, DeJounte Murray's not the most, like, oh, here, go get a bucket kind of a guy. Neither is Derek White, if he's even healthy. And then who else are you going to, who's going to be the main scorer on this team? I think DeJounte can maybe get 18 plus a night, but I don't think it's gonna be that efficient. And then anybody after him, it will just kind of come and go. So interesting there. You look at the power forward situation. They do play Keldon Johnson at the 4. Maybe they drop him to the 3 and start Thaddeus Young. We'll see. I hope and watch out for Devin Vassell. I think he's a good guy that might pop up. And again, hopefully they stop playing Walker or get rid of him or something. I don't know. Let's talk about the Vegas projected line. This is according to Action Network, and it has the Spurs at 29. This is actually relatively high. I will personally go over, because I don't want to sit here and say, oh yeah, a Popovich-led team will only win a game. They won't win. Their win total will not be in the 20s under Greg Popovich, is what I should say. I just don't think, and look, Pop hasn't been great these last couple of seasons. It kind of makes sense though, because he doesn't have a star player that he can kind of work with. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, I don't think they're going to be horrible. I think there will be some nights where they're competing with good teams, but in the end, there's just not enough offense. I think they'll be solid defensively, but because it's like, could you imagine if, again, hope this doesn't happen, but if Murray's out for a game or anything like that, who is scoring for this team? No one that's proven. So I think this might be a little bit of a rough offensive output. Last year was rough offensively because it's like you weren't shooting any threes at all. Now you have a little bit more three-point shooters, but it's like you don't have a main go-to scorer that you had with DeMar DeRozan. So that's my opinions. We're going to do another quick video here in a minute and talk about the third to last team, the 13th seed in the East. And then we'll be doing the same thing tomorrow. If we get any more NBA news, I'll be posting a video about it. And yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in a minute, and go check out another video and subscribe.